Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk.
With gangbanging so prominent in LA in the 90s, how have you seen gang culture change since you went inside for your bid, compared to when you got out? Young bangers, harsher sentences, and what's the advice you would give to a 14-year-old in 2018 who saw no other option than joining the gang and following that path in life? Much love from a British dude living in LA.
I see a lot of guys now, as far as gangbanging, it's become a fashion statement. You know, you got guys who don't look like they're gang members, and they got skinny jeans on, they got the hair colored, you know, they got makeup on, and then they're claiming, you know, to be a gang member. I've never seen that before, you know, and a lot of kids are doing it now because they think it's gives them a cool factor, you know, blows up their social media, you know, it gives them some type of status, and you know, these guys, they wouldn't survive in the pen. You know, I mean, they're, you know, doing, you know, a lot of guys, you know, if they can get a gun and bust it out in the crowd, and they think that, hey, everybody thinks they're a G now, but they don't really take into consideration the consequences with that. So I think a lot of these guys, it's just like they're lost. You know, they're trying to, you know, to some degree carry on their big homies tradition, but they're not really aware of the consequences. And you know, a lot of these guys, when they get in there, they're just, you know, they just start telling on everything. You know, they're not cut like that. You know, a lot of the OGs I talk to, you know, when they talk about these youngsters out here, you know, they just want, like, they want all the glory, all the, you know, all the fame, and they think that they can get that just without putting in the work. And you know, what I mean by putting in work is actually having been on the front line, you know, really banging, you know, doing shit for your hood, whether it's making money with the homies or helping out the little homies. And it's not all about, you know, necessarily the banging. It's about really bringing money to the hood. You know, a lot of, you know, just like now, a lot of guys have actually branched out from the gang banging and gotten into the entertainment industry as far as music. And then it's all about giving back so that they can keep these guys, you know, supporting them and keep the loyalty, because you know, the entourages, the goons, you know, the guys that they have around them, if they're not feeding them, then they're going to turn on them. So, you know, a lot of these guys, they're not, you know, they're trying to keep, you know, the rep, but at the same time, they're trying to be, you know, more, I call it like Hollywood, where they're appealing to a mass crowd, but at the same time, you know, they're pushing an agenda that really has no bearing. And when you're in, you know, at a club, you're traveling the world, and who you banging against? If you're in Dubai or London, or, you know, you're in you know, South America, I mean, it's like you're not in the hood no more, and you've moved past that. And so to hold on to that is pretty stupid. And you know, the sentences these guys are getting, man, I mean, you know, youngsters come in there and they, you know, got 15, 20, and they're fucking 21, 22. They think it's cool. They laugh the first year or two, tell stories. And then the third or fourth year, when money dries up, people ain't sending them packages, it gets real hectic. You know what I mean? They start thinking about things differently. And that's when they really start, you know, start bidding. So a lot of these guys, they really don't know what they're getting themselves into. And, you know, it's an illusion that they're trying to hold on to that's not real. You know, there's no need to really carry on that gangbanging these days, you know?
Yeah, it really seems kind of like an unnecessary thing to do in today's times. And aside from that, it's almost the culture has changed so much from what I remember in the 90s. Like in the 90s, I feel like it was just way harder. Mm-hmm. Like there was way more gangsters, there was way more violence, and then now it seems like it's kind of like tapering off, because I don't really see, I mean, I've lived in SoCal and NorCal my whole life. I've gone back and forth. And I mean, in LA in the 90s, it was crazy. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. And you know, going to Hollywood, you can go to Hollywood now, and I don't, and as many times as I've gone in the last 5 years, I haven't seen any gangsters like running around Hollywood Boulevard or anything like that. Like, and aside from that, they're gentrifying LA so much that I almost feel like they're pushing all the gangsters out. Like, so I think, you know, all the gangsters are maybe in Lancaster or Palmdale. They're pushing everybody to the deserts where nobody wants to live. They're like, you want to go do that shit, go do it out there, you know, because that's the only place you can really afford. Because in LA, they're not playing that shit anymore. Like Echo Park, like, that's a completely different place from when I used to drive through. Even Highland Park, my grandpa used to live there, and he used to walk around the neighborhood with a 380 on him, just in case anybody wanted to get wild. You know, he would just fucking shoot him. But you know, now it's all hipsters, it's fucking cafes, you know, where you wouldn't even want to sit out on the street because of potential shit that would pop off. So it seems like, at least in LA, I don't know about other cities, it seems like it's starting to die down a lot more. And even then, nowadays, man, there's so many cameras everywhere. Like, if you could drive through a street and you'll see 20 cameras. People have cameras on their phone. You're not able to put in work like you used to do back in the day because there's just too many eyes.
Oh, you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
And
like,
and the thing is, too, now you have so many other options. I mean, like you said, in the 90s, what else did you have to do? Go to the mall, start a fight, you know, beat up somebody in the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? They had dope houses or weed houses. You try to rob those to come up. I mean, nowadays, I mean, shit, man. You go to the dispensary, get your weed. And, you know, crack houses, people ain't really tripping off them like they used to be as far as robbing them, you know, as far as I know. But, you know, it's not... You don't have, like you said, because of all the cameras, you don't have people doing all the crazy shit. I mean, I know guys who used to dress up and kick in doors, and it was just a thing to do because who had a camera? Nowadays, shit, somebody sees something like that, they're going to fire up their phone. You're going to be on camera kicking in somebody's door, and you're going down. So, you know, you can't get away, and people aren't doing the really gangster shit like, you know, that used to do back in the 90s, you know? So I would... Go ahead.
And I was going to say also, I mean, you got gang enhancements like crazy.
Yeah.
So just being a part of a gang, you automatically get an enhancement, which could be up to 10 years added just because you're affiliated. You know, there's no such thing as self-defense if you're a gang member. So if you get into a fight or, you know, you get beat up, stabbed, whatever, and, you know, you try to say, oh, self-defense, that doesn't work. You know, so that, good luck with that. Not only that, but, you know, for those in 2018 or 14-year-old, you know, advice to give them is, one, there's no 401k, there's no benefits, there's no retirement. So essentially you're using your life to benefit a group, which you get almost nothing in return except for maybe brotherhood. You know, it's not like when you're away, they're paying your house note, they're making sure your kids are fed. You know, that you see that shit in the movies, but when it comes to real life, that shit rarely happens. So you're basically fucking off your family and your friends for something that you get virtually nothing in return. So how about instead of doing that, you use your youth to set yourself up for your future? You know, like there's 14-year-old CEOs now. You know, they're computer nerds. They come up with programs or whatever, software, and they just focus on that. And then by the time they're 20, they're a millionaire, you know, making other 20-year-olds look like jackasses.
That's right.
You know, I mean, shit, even when I think about it, like, I'm late to the game, man. Like, I fucked up my youth because I should have been doing that. Like, I should have been getting into computers, but instead I was chasing ass, running the streets, you know, and doing all that, which, it was fun. But it didn't really do anything to set me up for now. You know, like, it didn't put any money in my bank account, you know, for now.
Well, see, the thing has changed now, though, because, you know, when we were, you know, 14, when I was 14, 15, you didn't have the cell phone with all this information across the world.
Right.
I mean, as a kid now, like you said, you could sit on this phone, you could design graphics and turn around and sell them to somebody over in China. You know what I mean? You can design clothing, you can communicate with somebody, you know, in Canada. I mean, it's just... You're limitless with your opportunities as a 14-year-old and what you're able to do. So when you really look at it, I mean, you're pigeonholing yourself when you say you want to be a gang member and you think that's going to be a future. Like, that little street you don't own that they're going to basically eventually push your family out of, and another thing you don't really think about, you think all these guys are homies. You might have one or two dudes who really care about you, but the majority of dudes in those groups, they're pieces of shit. They don't give a damn about you. I've seen it many times where their own homies rob dudes when they find out he's doing good and or killed. I've heard of numerous instances. I know dudes that got killed by their own partners because they were jealous. And whenever you're dealing with wolves, you never know when the wolf is going to turn on you. So, as a youngster, man, I would venture out of the neighborhood. I would put yourself around people with opportunities. I mean, there's so many things you could do, and to limit yourself to a gang and get these, these distinguished tattoos on you that people are, kind of put a label on you. I mean, you're limiting your opportunities. And like Big Ant said, man, you could be a CEO, you could be a business owner, you can be an entrepreneur, you could be a lot of things, videographer, it's limitless. But, the gang life, man, there's only one or two things, man. Either you get caught up doing time like a dumbass, or, get shot.
Yeah. And have nothing to show for yourself.
No.
50-year-old dude, your whole life just flashed before your eyes. You got arthritis, can't move, got fucking bullets in you and shit that they couldn't dig out. It's like, for what?
Yeah.
I could see maybe if you got like $10 million when you hit 50 or something.
Yeah.
But ain't nobody doing that.
No, you ain't getting nothing. It ain't like you're getting 1,000 Bitcoins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Put in all this work and then we'll give you,
X amount of,
10 mil when you get 50, if you make it.
Exactly.
Those types of numbers, maybe it's something to consider, but it's not reality.
Lockdown's over. Get your yard time in. Exclusively at FreshOutSeries.com.